Good morning to our viewers in Nigeria and across Africa. Welcome to a brand new day and a new week. Yes, it's a beautiful morning here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. A very bright Monday, actually. Reminds you that the week is about to get started. I hope you get up and prepared for the week as I am. And of course, it's the conversation on TOS TV Network. And my name is Adesu Alsui.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning, Sagir. Good to see you today. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Thank
you. You're looking sharp. It's like you're prepared for this week.
Well.
Like,
see,
this week has to be
I have to actually. I have decided to be positive-minded no matter what.
Okay.
No matter what the country throws at me.
Okay.
I will be positive-minded and I will share in the positivity and in the joy so that others can tap from it.
Others like me.
Exactly.
All right, how are you doing today though?
Yeah, I'm okay. How was your weekend?
It was very well, very well.
Did you ride any bikes?
I don't ride bikes every weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking you did because I know the last time you did, you were so excited.
I was. It was very exhilarating, but I'm probably going to get back to doing that.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to, bring you the quote of the day right now. And after that, we're bringing you up to speed with developments across Africa.
Always remember,
Tim and I have been creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
All right, let's move straight into, stories from across the African continent. Starting from this story that says, Emirates Airlines has confirmed that it will begin accepting Dubai-bound passengers from India, South Africa, and Nigeria to Dubai. The revision of rules was contained in a statement released by the Supreme Committee of Crisis and Disaster Management in Dubai, which allowed fully vaccinated travelers to return to their homes in the United Arab Emirates. The airline said effective from Wednesday, June 23rd, it will resume carrying passengers from India, South Africa, and Nigeria.
As a matter of fact, I was expecting that to happen because last week, when they gave the directive that they will no longer be carrying, inbound passengers from these countries, I was like, how possible is that? I mean, so even citizens who travel to these countries will not be allowed into the UAE until perhaps they travel to a country and stay at least 14 days in those particular countries before they will be allowed into the UAE. It hurts their economy, it hurts them, the profits as well as money coming into the airline. And aside that, you can't even stop it from happening because the vaccination exercise is already on.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is, look, so long as you've spent 14 days in quarantine, you should be allowed into the country.
Or as long as you've been vaccinated.
Exactly. So I see no reason why that should have happened in the first place. But it's a good thing that the decision was reversed. Okay, moving on to Southern Africa. Thousands of supporters of South Africa's leftist party rallied in Pretoria to demand a faster coronavirus vaccine rollout from the country's health regulator. Less than 4% of South Africa's 59 million population has been inoculated. The country has recorded more than 1.8 million COVID-19 cases and more than 59,000 deaths. The protesters from the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, demanded that Russian and Chinese vaccines be authorized to speed up the vaccination process. You see, it's unfortunate that South Africa is the most hit in Africa when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic. But then again, it's still a good thing, the effort that the South African government is making. They've made collaborations with various vaccine makers and vaccine producers to domicile vaccine production in South Africa. I believe it will go a long way as a matter of fact because I know the Sputnik vaccine by Russia is available, and the Sinopharm vaccine is also available. We have the Johnson & Johnson as well, as well as the AstraZeneca vaccine. So if they are able to, strike a memorandum of understanding with these various organizations or these big pharma companies, I believe it's going to fast track, the production or the manufacturing of vaccine in South Africa, and it's going to help a long way to ensure that South Africans are inoculated to prevent the spread of the virus, to also prevent a probably third wave from this virus, as well as ensure that another strain is not discovered, because remember, so long as this virus continue transferring from person to person and people keep getting it, it continues to mutate, and different strains can come up as a result of it, you know. So of course the Delta strain has been discovered there in South Africa, so the earlier these are done, the better for everybody.
Yes, I agree. Okay, moving away from South Africa to Mali. Malian activists in a staged protest against French military presence in Bamako on Saturday are calling for the total withdrawal of French troops from the country. The demonstration was organized by political fringe group Yerewolo de Bout sur les Ramparts. Okay, that's French.
You can't speak French.
The demonstration follows Germany's defense minister announcement that 12 German troops and a soldier from another country were wounded following an attack on soldiers taking part in a United Nations mission in Mali.
You see, it's a funny turn of events, as a matter of fact, because, you know, earlier when the vice president of Mali, I'm talking of Goita now, compelled the president and the prime minister to resign. France threatens to withdraw all of their troops from Mali, and now these are Malians saying we are Malians.
Just
get
go
out, you know, because we are seeing that you're not being sincere in this fight, and it's looking like the interest you're having is not the same interest that, you know, is that of the people or that of Mali as a nation. It's looking like people are having an interest that is looking ulterior and that won't support us, or that may cause mayhem along the line. We are not surprised these things happen. You see people come to countries under the guise of coming to, you know, carry out aid and peacekeeping and the likes of that, and you find out at the end of the day that it was just an avenue for human trafficking. You understand? We've seen the likes of that as well in Maiduguri and other parts of Africa. Let's not even talk about Nigeria. So when the people begin to see that you're not being sincere, they tend to have a rethink and say, look, it's better you even leave altogether than come. What are you even doing for us in the first place? So all of you get out, basically. Okay, so we go to Egypt now, and we'll be talking about the coronavirus vaccine. Well, Egypt has received the first batch of 210,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik 5 anti-coronavirus vaccine on Thursday. This was announced by the state-run Egyptian Authority for Unified Procurement and Medical Supplies. It said in a statement that the delivery of the Sputnik doses was a deal made between Russia and Egypt in May to acquire 2 million doses of the vaccine. Like I was saying earlier, you know, about countries domiciling the production and manufacturing of coronavirus vaccine. I believe it's the best way to go, because procuring these vaccines is not always the best. And the reason is because these countries would only sell vaccine or give out vaccines they believe they don't need. So long as they do not have enough vaccine to cater for their population, they are not giving anything out. So the fact that you're seeing 2 million is because they can afford to inoculate their entire population. So the earlier Africa starts thinking towards getting patents, or as well getting the rights to manufacture these vaccines in their country.
They're already actually thinking towards it. I think
South Africa has started it fine, but until more African countries begin to do so, I believe, you know, I mean, the WHO Regional Director for Africa, Matshidiso Moeti, stated that only 0.8% of Africans have been inoculated.
That's because there's no vaccine production hub.
That is very poor. And as much as the COVAX facility is doing what it can to ensure that these vaccines, about I think 800 million doses, gets to Africa, it is a very slow process. So the best way to fast track these processes is to ensure that Africa has the capability to manufacture this vaccine at home and distribute, and it doesn't have to be in a particular country. We see what South Africa is doing. Other countries need to replicate it. Egypt is doing it. Nigeria needs to be doing it. Ghana needs to be doing it. You know, Kenya, Tanzania, the rest of the African countries needs to do this to ensure a faster vaccination process. Else, we're just going to see a case where countries will be thrown into a third wave, perhaps even a fourth wave, and then we'll start to see the virus really ravaging the population of Africa, like we saw in probably Italy when it started, or Spain, in fact, or the United States. I pray it doesn't happen, or even Brazil as it is. Well, God forbid. We hope it doesn't get to that level.
All right, that's it for, development across Africa. And we'll be going on a break now to bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. And afterwards, we're bringing you front page headlines from across Nigerian dailies this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they look, some of them sleep, they're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenegbu, and I am the People's Journalist.
Yes, it is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. And like I always say, you could be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you could also watch us live on our website at www.tostvnetwork.com or watch some of our other programs on our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning, and we'll be starting with the Business Day newspaper. On the banner headline of the Business Day newspaper this morning, we see 6 countries show Nigeria's poverty reduction goal is achievable. And right beside that, we see fear of power loss keeps Buhari from ending wasteful petrol subsidy. And right underneath that story, we see here is why Nigeria's economy is on the edge. And that could be found on page 26 of the Business Day newspaper of today. Underneath that, we see drug abuse in Nigeria rising to emergency level. And that's by the MTN Foundation and could be found on page 30 of the Business Day newspaper of this morning. Do grab a copy.
All right, looking at the front page of the Blueprint newspaper, quite a number of headlines scattered across the front page of this newspaper. But the very first one says, Matawale is set to join Ayade Umahi in APC Tuesday. Senators, 6 Rep, ex-Deputy Governor Wakala Ugudu follow governor. We're yet to be briefed. Oglugbodian says that Deputy Governor, federal lawmaker Classic remain in PDP. Secondus must go, Youth Vanguard insists. That's on page 6. Bakers threaten flour producers with indefinite strike. That's on page 25. And the banner headline on the Blueprint newspaper on insecurity in the FCT, Union Abuja, Veritas Varsity, COED Zuba, 5 others on red alert. We are on our toes, Varsity spokesman. There's need for military presence. That's from Veritas University. Schools environment vulnerable. That's coming from the students. There's cause for worry among students, security experts. Withdraw VIPs, police personnel to secure campuses. Student leader tells federal government. That's quite a number of other headlines on the Blueprint newspaper this morning. Just grab yourself a copy of that newspaper.
Moving forward to the Daily Trust newspaper of today, we start with, right from the very top, we see insecurity. Nigerians are traumatized, and that's from former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And beside that, we see Buhari to Niger Delta Avengers, fresh threat unnecessary. That could be found on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Beside that as well, we see 2023, Gombe stakeholders reject Goje's retirement, endorse him for Senate. That could be found on page 3 as well. For the banner headline there, we see Boko Haram, others in mass recruitment of bandits. We have a couple of riders there. Leaders govern territories using Islamic codes. How they share logistics, intelligence. Government must disrupt incursion, and that's by experts. There are a couple of other headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and you could simply grab a copy to get a read.
And the last newspaper we're going to be reviewing its front page this morning is the Nigerian News Direct. And I'm going to be starting with the banner headline on the Nigerian News Direct. Niger Delta Avengers, no need to issue bombing threat. That's coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. Four riders, I beg your pardon, under that headline. The first one says, federal government addressing 10-point demand. Says Nostra proactive in reducing spills from oil firms. NDDC forensic audits ready in July. Response shows on seriousness and insincerity. That's coming from Pandef, a Pandef reply. All of that is on page 4 of the Nigerian News Direct. And underneath that, LPG, no immediate plan to ban cylinder imports. That's coming from the federal government. Senator Uba emerges Anambra APC governor candidates. That's on page 4. Shippers issue ultimatum over 1,000% hikes in freight charges. That and more stories are on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct this morning.
Okay, that's the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning. We'll go on a quick commercial, and when we return, we'll bring you the big story.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. It a form say sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
This is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. You could be part of the conversation by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or watch us live on www.tostvnetwork.com. You could also watch some of our content as well as watch a recap of the conversation on our YouTube channel at tostvnetwork.com. And TOS TV Network, I beg your pardon. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the big story, and this morning's focus is going to be on the NPC NBC Amendment Bill, an attempt to criminalize freedom of expression in Nigeria. And with us via phone today is Mr. Adeni Kunu, and he is a social affairs commentator. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation, Mr. Kunu.
Thank you very much for having me again. I say thank you and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. First of all, sir, how do you perceive the proposed amendment of the NBC Act and the NPC Act?
It's a purely reactive move by the administration in power. And it is very disappointing, and please you can underline disappointing in capital letters, that an administration that enjoys the goodwill of the people, that enjoy the same media space, is now reactive in trying to prevent people from actually calling it out where it hasn't done what it should do. Let me remind us that in 2015, before the former president left office, he was the one that actually, reincarnated or brought about the cyber attack and all of that, bill. That is the President Goodluck Jonathan administration. Now, this administration, if I were to do an assessment in the history of contemporary Nigerian politics, were the ones that called out a president the most when they were in opposition. They called him names. Nigerians called him names. They also did more. Of course, some of the things they brought to the fore while they were in opposition were true about the past administration, but not for once did we see such high-handedness, particularly from the past administration. And please, for the records, that is not to make a saint of the Goodluck Jonathan administration, but for the importance of comparative analysis, that's a fact. So, having said that, this administration unbelievably took power 2015. And the first thing they did was to reenact or to actually revive the ghost of the cyber attack and media space act that President Goodluck Jonathan brought about. And I felt at that point that this administration had an intention, which is to crush the city. So more or less like what they were afraid of was that while they were in opposition, they spoke a lot against the administration in power. So the first thing they wanted to do was to quickly prevent people from giving them the same buffet that they served the past administration. So it is ill-intentioned, it is ill-informed, it is very improper, and it is actually against democratic tenets. Because one of the reasons democracy is what it is the opportunity people have to be able to say it as it is. And of course, to also call you to reminding that certain things you're doing are not according to the rule book. So I really must say that it's not proper. Then again, sorry to hold your thoughts. The lawmaker that actually continue to push this is a lawmaker in the PDP who is in opposition. And the PDP now is battling for its life, being a weak opposition party, bereft of proper opposition ideas. That is another thing. So if a party in opposition that is losing its voice by the second has a lawmaker, a PDP lawmaker from Oyo State, a senator who is raising this and trying to amend so that they will have full control of the media space, it tells you that the representative doesn't even understand what he's doing. Then at the same time, you cannot amend such important bills without involving the professionals, because the last time I checked, Alhaji Lai Mohammed has a master's in French. So he doesn't even understand media dynamics, such that we say to an extent he has the capacity to do that. So that's my position. Let me just allow you breathe. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, talking about, having full control of the media space. So the proposed amendment of both the NBC and the NPC Act actually made provision for journalists to be fined 10 million naira or jailed up to 3 years. So how do these amendments compare with Decree 4 that was declared by, Buhari in 1984? Which to date many see as still the most repressive press law ever enacted in Nigeria?
The truth is they are the same. The decree Buhari gave then and this particular one are the same. The only difference in what we've seen is that the president was a full military man then, and now is donning his Babanriga in Abuja.
Quite interesting.
That's just the only difference. I always tell people that the semantics of what we express or write is key. The syntax here is different by virtue of one or two things. For those of us who really understand some of those things, the syntax of these media limiting bills or amendments are only different. The semantics are the same, which is to prevent the media from actually helping to create a healthy and viable democratic space for everybody. Let me tell you this again. No administration is foolproof. Every administration is bereft with one challenge or the other. Because if we talk about perfection, it is the exclusive preserve of the gods. It therefore means that if anybody is operating as the leader of a particular group, for instance, I have a number of people that I take responsibility over in their official lives daily. And when we meet or when I sit down and review some of the steps I take, I know that there are imperfections that I work on so that I can be a better leader. So a situation when somebody finds himself or herself in office and you feel that everything you say or do is perfect, then that is what we'll call the Achilles heels that results in the demise of such administration or the person's leadership. So the position I candidly hold this morning is that there's no difference. And at the same time, it is very, very ridiculous to say you want an organization that is preserving the tenets of democracy for the organization to now pay money for certain things. I know that when we talk about the media, especially the online medium, there are lots of very dangerous things coming from there these days that we must try, especially with the manipulation of artificial intelligence to deceive people that are not tech savvy. So I know that there is need to regulate it, but it is not something to be spearheaded by the leadership. As a matter of fact, in a democracy, and what normally allows people see things as being justified is when you go through the right processes. If Alhaji Lai Mohammed, for instance, has spoken with the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the leadership of the National Broadcasting Commission, the leadership of the Guild of Editors, and he sat with them, that these people are going to look at the NBC code, are going to look at the particular Nigerian Press Council rule book, and they will tinker with it. The entire media space would have been calm because we know that the people within the media will not shoot themselves in the foot. And even if we find out that there are one or two bad eggs, we know how to expunge them and keep them away. But a situation where somebody sits and says, this is how I'm going to do it, then you find out that there are elements, obvious elements of draconian nature, of rulership. So that is just it for me. And I don't think Nigeria needs it, especially in the 22nd year of our democratic, of our fourth republic.
Quite a lot you said there, Mr. Kuno. However, let me ask you a final one. Now, in the proposed amendments to the NBC Act, the NBC is given powers to determine public interest and impose sanctions on television stations, including its perception of public interest. Now, what danger does this portend for our democracy?
It's one of the most low intellection propositions that I've ever met, that I've ever read. For instance, it's more or less like telling me that I should determine the public interest of my wife, and maybe when my child gets to 16, or when my child is 18, for instance, I should be the one determining the public interest of my child, a millennial and a man who, of course, has been around for quite some time. I don't think it is a poor aggregate to measure public interest. You cannot use a government institution to measure public interest, because that is going to be similar to what they do in communist-led governments. For instance, you go to China, even in all of the iniquitous nature of the leadership of Vladimir Putin, he has also not determined the public interest of Russia. And I tell you that some of the things that we are heading for is going to make us retrogress. And the leadership of the country should understand that we're not talking about a segment of the country. We're not talking about the South alone. We're not talking about the North. We're talking about a Nigerian population that is as diverse in virtually every aspect of our daily lives. So when people want to determine public, for instance, let us do I'm very sorry to take your time, but because this is a media space, let's educate some people. The average public interest of the person who lives in the middle belt is completely different from the public interest of the person who resides in the northeast. The public interest of the person who is in Lagos, for instance, is completely different from the public interest of the man who is from Maiduguri. And that is the fact of the matter. It is very unscientific and of high level, listen please, of low intellection for such a thing. The media space is a place for education. It's a place for information. It's a place where you build the knowledge quotient of people. So when I see characters tell me things that are ridiculous and unintelligent, it insults basic knowledge of public space interaction with the citizens. Please let us stop making a ridicule of ourselves as if the leadership does not even understand what it means to engage the citizens of the most populous black nation in the world. This is disgraceful. Nigerians have created patents that have been certified for use across the world. Nigerians have added value across the entire universe. So how on earth, having done all that, now we are hearing from the leadership of this country, of a country that's produced outstanding people across the world, say this kind of thing. It is ridiculous and unacceptable. And I think the leadership should behave themselves and stop making us a ridicule, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Quinn. We're actually out of time.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Quite an opinion he has.
Yeah, that was a matter of fun.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and thank you for sticking with us on the conversation this morning. Do not forget that the conversation comes to you every weekday, Monday to Friday. That means we're going to be here tomorrow. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget you can be a part of the conversation and part of the TOS TV community actually by following us across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's TOS TV Network. You can also stream the conversation and every other content we have for you on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Adesuwa Osui.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching.